Hey guys, what is up? Welcome to the Soul of a Man podcast, the live edition.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, brother, I am here this evening with my podcast twin, my wonder twin, Chill, aka Michael Humphrey. It's your boy DB on this Wednesday evening.
Yeah,
A little departure from our normal airing time.
right.
It's our brother. It's our anniversary.
I
In the
I
words of
can't
Tony,
believe
Tony, Tony.
it. A year, bruh. I
It's been
can't.
a year, man.
Yeah, I'm. It's been ringing in my head for the past couple of days. Is what episode would this be now? About 27,
I think
maybe?
this is between 25 and 27. I've
Yeah,
lost count, bro.
yeah. I have too. And you start counting, and it's like, whoa. Um, it's a lot,
It's a
and
lot, brother.
I know there are those people out there who do this full time and do shows every week,
Yep,
and I commend them, but they are doing it full time, and it's not for the weak.
brother. If you'd have told me a year ago that this amount of work, this amount of energy,
Yeah,
headache, heartache at times would go into this, I'm not so sure I would be doing it. But you know what? Now that I am and that we are,
yeah,
I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
yeah. I think too, man. Just because you talked about it from the beginning of us really being older guys, kind of playing around in a youngster's world,
Yeah,
in all of this, with neither one of us really knowing anything about podcasts except for being fans of other podcasts of our own. And so uh, I think some of the naivete, in all of this and just not knowing going in and just saying, let's go for it, is a part of the beauty of it.
you know what, man? Sometimes you just got to let them hang.
I knew that was coming.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah.
um,
knew that was coming. Knew that was
yeah,
coming.
you just got to let them hang and go for it, man, and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
if I had to, you know, give it a grade this early on,
right.
I would say it's, and I'm probably grading harder than some would. I would say it's been a B plus.
Yeah,
Uh, I
yeah,
mean, we still have work to do to get to that A plus status, but that's the beauty of it.
right, right. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Well, what's been the most surprising out of everything thus far for you?
You know, it's funny. I think it's a good thing and a bad thing. So you have people who are loyal followers
Yep.
that you absolutely had no idea, no clue who are following you
Right. Right.
until you run into them at a game, run into them in a store,
Yep.
church, you name it, and they're like, "Yo, I follow you guys diligently."
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they start, quoting episodes or quoting what a guest said. So that's been a real pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess the kind of negative, or if you want to call it that, as far as the surprise is concerned, is, um, and this is just maybe ego.
Yep.
I thought we would grow our base faster than this.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I've come to the realization we're going to help who we're going to help. People are going, whoever's going to follow is going to follow,
Right.
and we'll get some lag. There'll be some lag measures in terms of
Yeah.
people getting on, but it's going to be what it's going to be, man. Again, I think when you talk about people saying, "Hey, you guys have really helped me in this area," uh,
Yeah.
I'm blown away, blown away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I know we talked about this in our yearly wrap up back in December, but like for instance, Kareem Fogel,
Yep.
um, the number of people who reached out via Instagram or via TikTok and said, "Hey, I lost my son, I lost my brother, I lost my whatever sibling,
Right.
my sister, husband to gun violence, and I'm still wrestling with it. And you guys have helped me immensely by with this episode and by Kareem's just his willingness to lay it all on the line.
Yep.
That kind of blew my mind, man.
Yeah.
It really did.
No
Uh,
doubt.
so yeah, it's been good, man. I mean, we've had a heck of a ride, and it's been a fun year, and I'm looking forward to what's to come.
Yeah. Yeah.
What about yourself?
Some of the same without question. Been a lot harder than what I thought it would be. You think about just set up a microphone and turn on the computer and just have a conversation. Would seem like it would be very easy to do, but if you haven't done so and you're really trying to delve deep into a specific subject, there's some homework that has to be done for your guests that are coming on, without question, just to be able to probe them, just a bit deeper, and pull from them what you need to pull from them for the audience and for yourself. So it's been interesting for me that I've just learned different things through the guest myself.
Yeah.
It's been fantastic in that regard. Like yourself, was hoping to have the community grow, a lot faster. But those persons who've been in this realm are the first ones to tell you that it's not always a fast climb in regards to growing your community. Keep doing good, keep putting out good content, and keep pushing. And the group will come, the community will build, and the community will come. So looking forward to continuing to do that. We made a conscious decision from the beginning not to do really trash kind of content.
Yep.
And we wanted to put content out there that was really going to be impactful to people. And it's been good in that regard that we've done that. And from the responses of people coming back, like you said earlier, we're making an impact with some folks in different areas, and so pleased that they are being impacted and they're letting us know. So, yeah.
No, you're right, man. Just no interest in the foolishness. I'll leave it there.
Yeah. It's so much of it. It's enough of it that's out there, between the housewives of wherever, to this scandal, to that scandal, to now all the diss tracks and the musicians going back and forth. There's enough platforms that discuss all of that I'm glad we made the decision that wasn't going to be our angle. So, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I will say this, though, as it relates to the diss tracks. I'm a hip hop head, so I'm quite enjoying that. Watching the young fellas go at each other, as long as they keep it on wax, as they say.
Yeah. We've seen it go other ways.
Exactly.
And hopefully, prayerfully, it doesn't go off that way again. So
if you think about late 80s, early 90s hip hop, battle and beef was what it was. Battle rap was what it was all about.
Right.
Well, a lot of these cats cut their teeth. So
yeah, no doubt.
These young fellas will again keep it on wax and live to see another day and shake hands at some point and make good music.
Right. Well, we're had some folks that were going to chime in. I see that our girl Vicky Ferguson. This is one of the day ones. We go back to junior high, elementary school, and Vicky has rocked with us from the very beginning. We are all still learning this live technology. So try to send some stuff out because I wanted to talk to Vicky live. I wanted Vicky on camera. But she's made some comments, and I wanted to shout her out. We so appreciate you following, commenting during the events and such. I see you're on YouTube. And again, Darren and I are ourselves learning this. So we link to YouTube, we link to IG, but we are coming from StreamYard right now. And so we'll learn it. We'll make sure that we get you on here, Vicky, live, and have an opportunity to talk to you face to face. But thank you so much for coming on and chiming and continue to support us and push us forward and encouraging us. Cannot tell you how much that means. You're probably one of the most consistent viewers of what we're doing, and you have been since day one. We love you. We appreciate you for that.
Definitely. Vicky, thank you. There are days when we sometimes want to throw up our hands, but we get a message from you quite frequently that comes in and saves the day.
Yeah.
And sort of breathes life back into us. And we couldn't thank you enough. So thanks again for rocking with us from day one.
Absolutely. So I see another young man.
Mark.
Us, Mark Harris, Will Mark, DJ Mark. This is my guy, my ride or die. And he has been a part of the inspiration to continue us pushing forward with this piece as well. Aggie brother, of course, frat brother, little brother, you name it. He kind of gets all those pieces. But good to see you, man.
Good to be seen and not viewed, brothers. Good to be seen and not viewed.
So what do you have in that glass, brother?
I have some ice and some Casamigos Blanco.
Gotcha.
Okay.
As soon as you said it's good to be seen and not viewed, I'm like, that's not water in that glass.
No, it's not. No, not at all. And I'm because I'm here with y'all, I'm getting off of my non-drinking during the week deal. But yeah, do what you got to do for who you got to do it for.
Hey, you know what, brother? You are a grown man.
You're right. And then bills tell me every month I'm a grown man. Said, don't stop coming in.
They sure don't.
So we appreciate you rocking with this, man. I wouldn't have expected anything different from you. We've been joined at the hip for about 35 years or so.
Exactly.
And so wouldn't have expected anything other than that from you and appreciate it. But would love to hear from you what you think of the podcast.
Well, but first of all, I want to say thank you to both of you gentlemen for what you are doing on a weekly basis, even in the middle of even on the times that you're not doing a weekly podcast, you're doing your shorts, you're doing your other things, you're sending out on Instagram, on all the content you're doing. You are giving us as a community, and more importantly, as Black men, you're giving us something that we're not getting. It's basically, back in the day, I think Tom Joyner called it an inspirational vitamin. You guys are providing us something that is desperately in need right now, because we are under attack and we are the least protected and least provided and least thought about sector of what's going on. So it cannot be.
There are those that would argue that point with you,
and that's why they're not on here, and I'm not really worried about them. But no, I want to say thank you. You guys are again providing us something that we need. In everything that you've done for me outside of the umbrella of what you provide, I think probably the most impactful show you've done for me was the number 5, the Father's Day one.
Wow.
Because we are all fathers.
Yeah.
We all had fathers. Our fathers meant the world to us.
Yeah.
And as you know, I lost my dad in 2018. Mm-hmm. And it's not from a time frame, it's not as long as other people, but my dad, I deal with trauma every day because I miss my dad. And that show just affected me so much, but it also gave out a message to other people that you can't even really explain. So I want to thank you guys for providing things like that and every other show you provided. Because again, it's been a help that I'm sure people outside of me, we didn't know we needed. So you guys have been consistently providing that. I look forward to year number 2, and can't wait to see what you guys have down the pipeline. Now, I will say, you guys got, as you mentioned it earlier, especially dealing with Michael Humphrey, you got to figure this technology out. I got DB looking like the old man outside the liquor store with the glasses coming up and coming down and moving. I don't know if you need some more readers, but you got to figure out how to work it out. But you guys have been doing a good job for where you are now.
So 2 things, man. I'm going to comment on this really quick. So, and I'll talk about the technology and the glasses first. So there's about this much vanity in me.
Oh, there's more than that. You need to spread your fingers out a little bit more than that. I know you too. I know him, and I know you. You're here. You need to go. Right there.
Yeah, you're probably right. And so every time I go to the eye doctor, man, they're like, "Yo," because I can read really well without my glasses. So I'm nearsighted, so I can't see things far away. But up close, man, I got built-in readers. The problem is I can't read with them on, and I refuse to get bifocals or whatever the other things are, which you got to constantly go take your head up and down. I'm like, man, I'm not
like these. Yeah.
And so I just take them, I put them, take them on and off. So you're right, brother. It's like, I'm like a 90-year-old man having to take my glasses off.
I see you.
Hey, we're going to make it work. The second thing, it's interesting that you would mention the Father's Day episode and how that stuck out to you and what it meant, both from being a father and also obviously having a father. Man, this past Sunday, April 28th, was the 4-year anniversary of my father's passing. And my wife and kids, my 2 younger kids, we decided to go by the Veterans Memorial Cemetery that he's buried in and spend a little time there. Bruh. I thought it was a good idea. And my wife was like, "Do you need a little time?" I'm like, yeah. And my kids, being as young as they are, not understanding what daddy needs a little time just right here. And I had on my sunglasses, and my 3-year-old was like, "Daddy, are you sad?" I'm like, just a little. So yeah, man. Again, it's interesting that you would say that's your favorite, considering, and I totally get it. I don't know that this will ever get any easier. I think you and I've talked about this back and forth with Mark via social. It's just one of those things, man, that you kind of learn to deal with.
Yes.
And you learn to adjust to the absence in your life. So thank you for that, bro.
Yeah.
But it also, I will say this, it's not something, as a person who's in that, lack of a better term, that fraternity, it's something noted as something that's appreciated when it's brought up, because like everything else in life, we as Black men will have a tendency to not speak on something and gloss over it. And we act as if it's like that roach in the room when you cut the light on. If I just stay still, it'll go away. Doesn't happen. You think it does, but it doesn't. So the fact that you all had that session and you brought it up and you talked about it, and even talking about it in this conversation, you're being transparent. It lets everybody else know that it's okay to be who you are. It's okay to understand that the grief never goes away, and you're not alone.
Right.
You're not alone. And it's something that we're all dealing with. And, my goal is to, and I learned from this brother up here on the screen, the top left corner on my side. I learned from him it's a hole you never fill, but you got to learn how to go on. And the best thing you can do is reach out to somebody else who goes through it similar and tell them, hey, you're not alone. I understand how you feel. I got you. And part of the feeling was, I knew when it happened with my father in 2018, I knew that I could always call him and he understood. And it was nothing that was ever said. And so regardless of how I felt, I knew he had me. I know you got me because you and I have talked.
Yep.
So no, that again, that not to beat a dead horse, but that episode stuck out to me as personally impactful. But you guys need to keep doing what you're doing. Hey, and that's it. The other thing I'd add is, I mean, you at least got to put the merch up. You got Michael Humphrey wearing a shirt that got the logo in the top right corner.
Yeah,
I can't make a donation and get a shirt to wear it around the job.
It's coming.
If
You're gonna do it, do it all.
It's coming. It's on its way. But I got to back up for a second to the to the fatherhood episode and the conversation with Mark and the loss of his dad. One of the things that came out of it in our conversations, me having lost my father so many years before, was I gave him a heads up that unfortunately amongst your peers, you are now going to be the expert on grief.
Yes.
Yep.
And to have watched him as one by one, his peers, he's 6 years younger than me, one by one, his peers started to lose parents, to watch him step up in that role of really talking and counseling and encouraging his peers through that was really special. And something you don't know, Mark, we were together for a fraternity retreat this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having a conversation with a young man and forgot exactly what it was we were talking about, but I made a comment to him that you'll appreciate. And I had to stop myself about halfway through. I said, William Harris used to always say, William Harris is his father. He has said, William Harris used to always tell me a gazillion times to me that I'm now quoting his dad to other people. And I had to stop myself because this kid is looking at me like, I don't have a clue who William Harris is. Go ahead, bro. Do your thing. Tell me whatever you need to tell me, but I don't have a clue as to who you're talking about. But
an ancient Negro philosopher.
but I share that with you because he genuinely does still live on.
Yes, sir.
Still live on.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, quickly, man, the merch is coming and technology. We've been together 35 years, brother. You know how I am with technology.
I know. I'll make another road trip and clean off the screen and do some other work. I do what I can. I do what I can. It ain't the Red Cross, but I'll do what I can. But no, I mean, I know you guys got other people to get to, but man, I'm not gonna belabor the point. Again, I love both of you all. I love what you're doing. Do not stop. Keep giving us those inspirational vitamins, those messages that we didn't know we needed. But now that you've exposed it, now there's a level of requirement and things that we're looking for. So now you just got to go harder, and you gotta keep pushing and keep doing what you need to do.
Yeah. Not for the week.
You're right, brother.
Oh no, and I think and DB, I don't know if Michael shared this with you, because I've done my share of podcasts, whether it be on it and producing it, and I told him from the beginning, it ain't what you think. It's a whole lot more than what you think. Yeah. Whether it be equipment, editing, the prep, the post, and I'm glad to see y'all are learning. I'm glad to see y'all got through it. Y'all have done it. And honestly, just know that you've done it looking seamless. I know it's like a duck. A duck looks calm on the surface. They paddling like hell below water where people can't see. I know y'all have done it, but at the end of the day, man, you've done a great job.
Well, thank you. And
I just encourage you, beg of you, implore you to keep doing what you're doing because, and Michael also will say this, you're helping like DB, you found it out. Like you said, people will randomly come and talk to you. The work you're doing you don't know what you're doing. You don't know who's watching. You don't know who's affecting you. You don't know who's seeing it and who you're touching until those random moments. So just know, even the people you know you're touching, it's more people out there. They just like to be voyeurs.
Yeah.
You're just not. You're affecting people in a positive way. They're just not reaching out.
Yeah.
No, brother, you've said a mouthful, man. And again, that is great inspiration for us to keep pushing. And there's several more people to touch and a lot more work to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
If you need me, call me. I love y'all guys. Do your thing.
Brother.
All right.
You, brother. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Have a good one, man.
You too now.
Yeah, man. So that's good stuff.
Yo, man, that's amazing.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. I appreciate, so appreciate folks continuing to push us forward in this, and got to keep grinding.
Yeah.
Got to keep grinding. Yeah.
No stop.
This whole idea and concept about the second half is a whole new realm that we've kind of fell into. I can't even say consciously walked into it, but in a conversation kept going kind of around in circles, and we kind of fell into this whole concept of the second half and making sure that we are pushing our community to really live.
Yep.
To really and truly live in the second half. Like I said, I was at my fraternity retreat this past weekend, and I haven't had to have my knee replaced, but I tore my knee up in 2014, falling on some black ice. And I'm looking around the room at knee replacements and hip replacements and surgeries here and surgeries there for this, that, and that, and this and the other. And we're aging. I'll be 60 in less than in right about 6 months now. And I thank God for every single day.
Bruh.
Truly thanking God for every single day. And it was interesting hearing conversations of some guys a little bit younger than us talking about their peers that they've lost in this past year. We've experienced some of that. We've gone through some of that, and been blessed not to have had a lot of loss in that regard of our peers.
Yep.
But it's something that's happening, and the time just isn't. It's not guaranteed, and we've got to take advantage of this time that we can't get back. So how are you feeling about second half and the direction that we're going, and really focusing on that with our community?
So I'm gonna answer that in two parts. Personally, I'm riding the wheels off this mofo. I'm not lying. 2024 has been a great year. I think you and I talked a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, man, it's one of those things where everything seems to be in alignment. Mm-hmm. Now I know I've been around long enough to know that the shoe could drop and throw some things out of whack.
Yep.
But right now, while things are in alignment, I'm riding the wheels off of it.
I hear you.
Got a couple trips planned. Just got some other things planned, man. September we'll be celebrating, God willing, 10 years of marriage, my wife and I. So we have something planned there, hanging out with my kids. Again, loving who I want to be around, and those who just don't reciprocate.
Yeah.
They don't exist anymore. Not trying to be a jerk. Just really honing in and really focusing on what matters, man, and who matters. And again, there's got to be reciprocity there. So if there's reciprocity, then you can be in my universe. But if I'm giving and you choose not to, I can't do it. So that's the personal side. From the podcast perspective, man, I look at the episodes where we've spoken about second half living, and they've been amazing. The guest, whew, brother,
Yeah.
they have all just brought it, man, in their respective fields.
Right.
I mean, anyone from Dr. Ed talking about your oral health, Dr. Tanya Ivory talking
Yeah.
about your physical health, my brother Quan,
Yeah.
who came on and dropped some jewels on us, and we got to have that brother back because we didn't even really dive into his piece as it relates to being a fitness instructor and making sure that we can still move these bodies at 60 years old.
Right. Right.
And then, you know, you had Eric Montgomery, who crushed it as it relates to wills and trust.
Yeah.
And I know I'm leaving some people out, so jump in. But man, it's been amazing, brother. And I think, you know, some episodes to come are going to prove to be equally as amazing.
Yeah. Excited, really excited about it. It was, again, interesting, just kind of how we fell into this second half piece. So you said the word at a point in the conversation, and we were just trying to really burrow down and get to the gist of it, and went around in circle for a few iterations, but it finally presented itself, and it was like, that's it. The second half, that's it. We really want to push our community to make sure they're living fully in the second half, as well as ourselves. And that's been a part of our journey in all of this as well. We're going through this with our community.
Yeah.
We don't have all the answers.
Not at all.
We've brought these experts in because we're not the experts ourselves in these given areas. So we've brought them in. We don't claim to be gurus or experts in these areas, but want to bring people in that can share in their knowledge about different things. And I think we really, really laid things out well for the year, and starting with physical health, moving from physical health into financial health, from financial health into really well-being and overcoming obstacles and such, whether it be grief from a loss or divorce or job loss or other things along that line, and then finishing up really at the end of the year with what we want our legacies to be.
Yeah.
And so it's been a really good game plan. The folks who've come in, you know, we were advised at the beginning to go out and seek guests that were family members and friends and whatever, and they might be 3s and 4s on a scale of 10. Well, I can say I'm proud for what we've done to this point. These people are 9s and 10s, hands down. I'm not being biased. Don't believe me? Go back and look at the shows. They literally speak for themselves, and they really are bringing the knowledge in their given areas, and just want to continue moving in that direction, really pushing folks to live out whatever the time is that you've got left.
Yep.
Like I said, I'm coming up on 60 in a few months. So I know my runway, my time isn't as long as it was at some time before. And in the process of doing this as well, also trying to let some folks who are a bit younger know and understand, if the life expectancy per CDC is 73, 74 years old, guess what? Your second half began about 35, 36.
Yeah.
And that's been an interesting conversation with a lot of people, as well as we work to encourage people to get some things in order, some things in place for their twilight years, my twilight years, working on finishing up my will, working on it. And I had not started it before we did the episode on it.
Yep.
That's just total transparency, which is something my girl Vicky has always complimented us about, is being open and transparent and just sharing in the fact that we don't have the answers. We don't have all the pieces necessarily in place either, but in this journey, we're hoping to learn together and start building and getting these things in place and in line, and pointing people towards some resources that can help in them as well. So I'm enjoying this second half piece. You did it in two parts, the podcast part. Guess I just kind of addressed the podcast part of it. The personal side of it, it's been challenging. Past few years have been challenging years, and being a believer, continue to believe, continue to walk in my faith, and know that the God I serve is the only one I'm going to serve, and it's not anything or anyone here earthly. So as challenging as it has been, life starts life's for everybody.
Yep.
And you've got to have that tenacity to push through. And I think part of that too is us having grown up in this baby boom, Gen X. We've had this argument before, Darren. I was born in 65, which was 64 was the cutoff year for baby boom generation. Then we start Gen X. But we grew up in that generation. I see the memes and things out online. We grew up in that generation that went out the house and drank out of the water hose and jumped off of stuff and climbed trees and scraped your knees and not dare go back inside to get a Band-Aid. No, you wiped it off on your t-shirt and slapped some mud on it and kept going. Latchkey kids, walking through neighborhoods, all kinds of neighborhoods, going and coming to school, getting the house by yourself at a young age, lock the door and don't open it for anybody. That was the message. But that toughness that was built up in us, we got that from baby boom, and then moved into this Gen X generation, and we've gotten everything that the Gen Xers have as well. So we're a bad generation of folks,
brother. I often say that the hardest working generation to me in the history of mankind are baby boomers. The smartest generation, and I know there's going to be some millennials and some Gen Zs and Gen Alphas are going to disagree, but the smartest generation are Gen Xers.
Yeah.
The most interesting generation would be millennials, and I'll use that word interesting because there's other words I have used about that generation because they've kind of had everything handed to them. Meaning in terms of information, the whole 9 yards. You remember, man, you did a paper back at A&T. You had to go do some digging. You had to do some real research.
Yeah.
It wasn't a couple of keystrokes and all of a sudden Google is spitting this out. And now we have, Gen Xers and I'm sorry, Gen Zs and Gen Alphas who, if they need some information, they can go to ChatGPT or wherever else and put in some information and get and use an AI tool. And everything is given to them right at the blink of an eye.
Right.
Kudos to them for being able to do that. But again, man, I certainly believe, and I believe this in my heart of hearts, that we are the smartest generation that ever walked the face of this earth. Again, it's my opinion. And so what if nobody wants to believe that? That's what I'm going to believe until somebody can prove otherwise by me.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think you're right, brother. We learned a lot from my parents, the boomers, and from my peers in the Gen X space. And the one thing I will say, I do appreciate the younger group just because I do learn a lot from them as well. From technology to the way things are moving today. It's a lot to learn, and I kid, but I do appreciate the younger generation because they do offer a lot.
Yeah. And have to stay up on it. Have to stay abreast of it, or it will get by us. In this generation that we are in, it will get by us quickly. I guess I can't even call it a new thing, but the thing is AI now.
Yeah.
And I know you and I have toyed with it a bit here and there, but there's a lot to learn, a lot to keep up with. That technology that's come about that is being anticipated will change the world yet again.
Yep.
Already is. Literally already is. So certainly things in this generation to stay abreast of and stay up on, but in the same breath, and in the process of doing so and taking care of children and grandchildren, we can't forget about ourselves either.
Nah.
And we are a generation of givers and caretakers. And so I think it's critical as we're looking at this second half living that we are focusing on this year, that we really and truly do make sure that in all that we do for everyone else, some people that can reciprocate and some little ones that can't.
They can't.
They just don't have the age, the physicality, or anything else to go with it to be able to reciprocate with what we do for them. But there are some others who absolutely positively can. And in the process of doing and caring and doing and caring and doing, we can't forget to care and do for ourselves some as well.
No, you're absolutely right, man. I take my annual beach trip in January for my birthday.
Yeah.
That was really good. It's always needed. I
Yep.
think I expressed to you a couple of weeks ago, we were on the phone, that oddly enough, I'm due another one pretty soon. Just mentally, I need it.
Right. Right.
I've already had that conversation and planted the bug in my wife's ear. So I got to just figure out when I can find the time to actually do it. Probably won't go for as long as I did before. Just give me a day around some water and let me listen to some waves crash, man. It
good to go.
And it makes things okay.
Yeah. Without question. You and I have talked about it. The ocean just does it. It just does it for me. And I'm in need of a good coastal detox myself, just to clear the mind, and regroup, literally just regroup a little bit. But so moving forward, we've got another half a year on this second half path that we're currently on and pushing people forward. What are you excited about that's coming up?
Well, I'm certainly excited.
Discuss maybe something that we haven't.
Yeah, I'm certainly excited to continue the financial health piece. We got a couple guests coming up. I won't disclose what it is just yet. That I think will be really good. One piece kind of leads into legacy, but I think we can probably talk about it in the near future, which we will, and then probably piggyback off of it at some point when we start talking about legacy. So I'm looking forward to that. Looking forward to the conversation around legacy, man. I know that's a fourth quarter topic for us, because it is beyond time for us and probably our peer group. It's beyond time for us to start thinking about what our legacy is going to be. I know you're doing something with an endowment. It's my goal as well. I know you and I have actually talked about doing a joint endowment in our father's names, because they're both educators.
Right.
So I think that's a way we leave our legacy. So certainly looking forward to that. Man, and just look forward to helping as many people as we can potentially help in for the remainder of this year. The crazy thing, we'll look up and say, all right, what's our plan for 2025?
Right. It's moving so fast, and I've heard people my whole life, older people my whole life, say the time just flies. The older you get, the faster time goes, and I'm living it. With two college kids who have just completed their first year of school. It was a blur. Was moving them off campus the other day and literally saw parents that I recognized from moving them on campus in August. And we're back again. It's like, I think I know. It's like, I was here a few months ago. But it really and truly does move very, very fast. Moves very fast. I had a conversation with a friend recently, new friend recently, and it was an interesting conversation to hear him talk about life and marriage and parenthood and fatherhood. Great father, great husband, good person, and but he said, I completely lost me. And he's in his early 50s, and he said, just in me doing what I'm know to do, what I'm trained to do, what I'm supposed to do for my family, I just got away from anything that I had liked to do,
Right.
hobbies, interest, whatever, where time just didn't allow in some cases, and in other cases, I just put my stuff on the back burner. So I know this can absolutely be the case for both men and women, and so again, part of it for me, it goes back to just really pushing our community with whatever it is, really pushing our community to live.
Yeah.
And in the process of you caring for everybody else, making sure that you're caring for yourself as well. There's a young man who's a content creator that I know some of our followers follow, and he goes under the tag of Spread Love. And short little messages that he puts out daily, but he started these retreats. And interestingly enough, they seem like they're pretty incredible getaways and such. I think I shared with you, I'd never done a retreat before until probably about 15 years ago, and did a church retreat with my men's ministry group that was life-changing, really. And it seems like he's taken folks on some excursions that are life-changing excursions, but seems like a genuinely good dude. I see our community doing that at some point. And he's making impact, which at this point, as I said to somebody this weekend, if what I'm doing is not impactful in some way, I really don't want to do it.
I would agree.
Don't want to do it. Don't have that time to give. Don't have that time to waste. It's got to be something that is making an impact, and that goes back to legacy. That goes back to the legacy conversation.
Man, I think one thing that you should be commended on, and I'm going to give Bishop Adrian Starks a little credit, though it may not be consistent yet, but you've made your way back into the house.
Yeah.
And I want to believe that his episode kind of had something to do with that.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
we both know how important your spiritual health is in this journey, in this thing called life.
Yeah. It's interesting too, dude. You bring that up. It's critical. It is. And I had been away from the institution of church, the brick and mortar of church, for years, having worked in what I call church world, having worked for a church for 4 years. I had been away from that for some time, and it literally was coming off of Bishop Stark's episode that sparked my going to his church, actually, and have been back to another church since then, and had just kind of forgotten how much I needed it and how much I missed it, quite honestly. I've been churched my whole life. I grew up,
Right.
we might have been in there any night of the week. You could have been there. Vacation Bible School, you name it, we were there, and so it was a reminder. It was a reminder, hard reminder. Don't forget who you are. Don't forget whose you are.
Yep.
And I've needed that reminder of whose I am. As you just face people, as I've faced people in the world who think that they are something bigger than God. And I'm like, no, you're not. And I don't pray to you. I don't worship you. I don't follow you. There's things in this universe that are much, much, much bigger than you are that I put my faith in. So yeah, that was an important one for me. That was an important.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
I knew it would happen sooner or later, and I'm glad it has happened. And
yeah. And Bishop has that draw,
He does. He does.
He has that draw. Yeah.
One thing, man, that it's because it just popped in my mind, and it has nothing to do with, well, I guess it does, second half living. And I know it's an episode that we have talked about doing because we're in an election year.
Yeah.
For anybody who's on now or may see this as the recorded version, I just want to encourage everyone to make sure they're registered to vote.
Yeah.
And make sure you get out and vote. If you have 18-year-olds in your house, like you do, newly eligible voters, make sure they're registered and make sure they get out and vote as well, even if you have to take them to the polls. I think it'd be a great experience for them. Man, I know people say this every election cycle, that this is probably the most important election cycle of our lives, but I really think this one is.
Yeah.
If you look at what's going on in terms of Roe v. Wade, if you look at what's going on in terms of I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but just anything.
But and particularly the fact that the Supreme Court is stacked the way that it currently is. You mentioned Roe v. Wade. This was calculated.
Very much so.
This was orchestrated and put into place because of the prior presidency. And during his tenure, these Supreme Court justices were put into place for a reason.
And regardless of whether he wins or not, his legacy will live on.
They're lifetime appointments.
Based on the Supreme Court, the three that he put in place.
They're lifetime appointments that you're not going to change it. They will die their way out.
And I think people fail to realize he also appointed several federal judges.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Actually, lots of those appointments.
Yes.
And folks were just not seeing the importance of it, as we were. It was heart-wrenching, heartbreaking for me, I guess, a few weeks back with the whole Chick-fil-A visit from Trump handing out shakes in somewhere near the AUC down in Atlanta. And I'm like, and some young sister grabbed him and, was hugging all up on him and this thing and that thing and the other. And I'm like, yo, do your homework. You're a little young. Do your homework. And understand there are changes that have been made already because of his winning the previous election, that are things that pertain to you right now today that you have no control over.
Yeah.
We've got to be smart. We've got to be smart about this. But no, I appreciate that. In this election year, we've got to be on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, man. Again, we said Roe v. Wade. I know what it is: affirmative action.
Oh, yeah,
Jeez.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I worked in DEI. And there's so many things that are coming into play at this point, and whether it be in a university system, um, as well as in the corporate sector, the workforce, where those sorts of roles and programming are just going away.
yeah,
You've got some companies out there that are conscious about it and are trying to make sure that there's equity and inclusion in their works, but so many others that are this far removed at this point from George Floyd and all of that, that it's not top of mind anymore,
right.
and we are witnessing it, watching it go away, and things in this country literally, in my opinion, moving backwards as opposed to forward.
Yeah.
I have no desire to go back to Jim Crow America. I don't, and even more importantly, I don't have any desire for that for my children, and what they're going to have to deal with. Part of the reason why I'm so glad that we are spending some time with the financial health component of this is because of just a fear of where we're going to be as a community if we're not more financially conscious and savvy. And it may not be making the most, the most money or some gigantic salary, but living within one's means, staying on top of expenses.
Yep.
And I've been around people who've made much more money than I have, that I've run rings around because I just didn't have the consumer debt, or had consciously worked to reduce it.
Yep.
And eventually eliminate it. So we've got to be savvy as we're moving forward in all of this. I shudder to think that we're in an election where certain individuals actually have a chance of winning. I mean, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's scary thought. Scary thought.
Here's what I always say, though, man, and I think this kind of goes hand in hand with what you were just saying. I think it's up to us to put ourselves in the positions where it doesn't matter who's in the White House.
Right.
Because let's call it what it is. Neither party has lived up to their end of the bargain.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna call it what it is, brother.
Yeah.
There's been, welfare reform. There's been 3 strikes and you're out from a certain party.
Yeah.
There's a certain party who's probably locked up more people who look like you and I.
Yeah.
So it ain't just the other party.
Right.
So
Right.
again, I think we have to put ourselves in a position as a community.
Yep.
That regardless of who's in the White House, that we're going to be okay.
Right.
I think we had Brother Jabari Jameson on, and when he talked about life insurance and he talked about investment vehicles and things of that nature, we got to continue to educate the community. We need more millionaires and more decamillionaires in our community, more billionaires in our community. Hell, we need more thousandaires in our community.
Yep. Yeah.
And so I think we got to keep pushing the envelope. And so when times do get tough, we as a community can encapsulate ourselves and be okay.
Right. Right.
And so there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're here for it, brother.
Yeah. 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 Well, who would have thought last April, excuse me, we would have been kicking this off, and here a year later, a lot more confident, a little bit more tech savvy, and stronger in our planning, without question. Continuing to seek out and tap into an incredible array. That's the only way I can describe it. An incredible array of guests and experts, in their given fields, to come forward and help us in this journey. And we still be here, still standing. I've seen some others start and stop, and it hasn't been easy. Life in this podcast world ain't been no crystal stairs, but it certainly had some nails and some splinters in it and all that good stuff. But to be here a year later, I can honestly say extremely proud of what we have done to date.
Yep.
Extremely excited about where it's going and the potential of where it's going, and continuing to bring impact to our community, and just the thought of continuing to live in a bigger way as we journey through the second half.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Our promo video that we shot and aired just over a year ago. So I think we aired that in March a year ago. The music was tell them that we're coming.
Yeah.
But we're here.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
And I guess now we ain't going nowhere.
You got to find another track.
I got to find another track, man. Got to find another track. So
well, man. Yeah. Well, we thank you all for joining us. We're going to do some more lives.
Yes.
As we move forward, and again, get a little bit more savvy in regards to the technology. Appreciate Mark Harris for jumping on. Appreciate my sister Vicky Ferguson for jumping on, and everyone that has supported us since the beginning, or jumped on at some point through this year.
Exactly.
And has supported us, encouraged us, and let us know that we're doing something positive, truly from our souls to yours. We thank you. We appreciate you.
Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you next time.
All right, brother.